Pisces can be understood as having two fundamental principles proposed by Rudyard: federation and perpetuation. So federation is that sense of bringing disparate parts into one focus, and perpetuation is just continuing the line into the future. And so we see that Pisces has a function of bringing things into a condition where they can be renewed by Aries. And the first principle of Aries, the first Aries degree, Aries 1, is representing that principle of emergence from the unconscious into the possibility of life, beginning another cycle. So Pisces has the job of bringing things to a point where they can be furthered. And it's useful to look at the 6 expressions of the signs of Pisces. I've put forward these ideas of expressions to help me understand what these basic words of federation and perpetuation mean. So we have the keywords for Pisces as harmonization, integration, dedication, spirituality, purification, and realization. Now, what I want to do is to go backwards through the degrees of Pisces. And by doing this, we can understand how any particular degree can be realized, can be embodied. So if, for example, your sun is at Pisces 30, it might seem quite a challenge for you to understand that. And the question as to how you can understand that is arrived at in Pisces 29. And to understand 29, you go back to 28 and so on, because each of these steps through the zodiac from Aries 1 to Pisces 30 is sequential. Why do we need Aries 1? Because Aries 2. Why Aries 2? Because Aries 3. There we're answering the question in the forward direction with the question why. But if we actually want to know how I, as a person, can embody my wisdom, how is best answered by looking at the previous degree. So let's take that example. How do you embody Aries 1? Well, by realizing Pisces 30. Looking at the 5 degrees of Pisces, which are collectively called by the name of the expression realization, we first look at Pisces 30, the great stone face. And the idea here is that we become whatever we idealize. So if you follow a role model, a teacher or a movie star or your parent or whatever, then you idealize them. You make that person who's imperfect and just real into an ideal, somebody who can hold the qualities of your projection. You project upon to that person qualities that actually you can see in them, but perhaps nobody else can. So we idealize somebody in order to have something to aim for. And this is the way by which we then emerge into another dimension, another cycle of experimentation with life. So how do we attain this ideal? How do we find somebody to idealize? And the answer to that question of Pisces 30 is found in Pisces 29, which is the prism. And the prism's image is of light, white light, coming through it and becoming the rainbow colors. So unity becomes diversity. Now, if we can see as if through God's eyes, we see diversity from the position of unity. And if we see through our own eyes, we are in a position of diversity. We're separate. We have different bits and pieces not in alignment. We look for God, then we're looking for the white light. And the prism is suggesting to us that we should try and do both of those things to reach the next level of comprehension. And the answer to the question, well, how do we do that, is in Pisces 28. And that's the the full moon, the fertile garden under the full moon, which is telling us, like, fulfill your desire. Your desire is a gate, a pointer, a direction marker. That's the way you need to go if you want to get to God. Just follow your desire, fulfill it, realize your desire. Your desire is there for a purpose. It's telling you this is what is wanted. If you fulfill your desire, then you have no more wants and you're one with the source of everything. So how do you fill your desire and realize the mystery of Pisces 28? And the answer is, we'll look at Pisces 27. And this is also a moon image, the harvest moon. And the harvest moon basically says you reap what you sow. So what you have in your life is what you're reaping. That's there because you sowed it. So you have to see your life, all of the people, all of the activities, all the realizations, see your whole life as the fruits of your desire. Now, if it's not exactly what you want, then you know what you need to improve. But if you want to know how to move towards fulfilling your desire, then look at your life. See that as the fulfillment of your desire, because it is at this point. Well, how do you manage to see your life as that? And the answer comes in the previous degree. Pisces 26 is a new moon that divides its influences. Well, a new moon is the beginning of things, dividing its influences. Well, it could be this and it could be that. This is choice, decision, and we exercise free will. That's how we create our lives the way our desire nature chooses it to be, by the exercising of free will. Now we see these 5 expressions, therefore, as a set, bringing us closer to the state of realization. How can we develop a greater sense of realization? And the answer there, we have to look into the previous 5-degree expression, which is purification. And also, if we want to know how to exercise free will, then we look to the previous degree and we find that Pisces 25 is the purging of the priesthood. Well, the purging of the priesthood is basically to rid yourself of negative thought. The priesthood referred to here was Henry VIII's priests. They were corrupt, distorting the principles of Christianity. They were, just rich and fat, and Henry VIII got rid of them because he needed to purge his kingdom of these negative thoughts, actually. This is the idea behind Pisces 25. And you can learn how to master that by looking at the previous degree. 24 is the inhabited island. So, using conflict as a means to teach and learn compassionate acceptance. On an inhabited island, there are many people, and they don't always agree with you. You don't like them all. But you get along together, you just rub along, and you develop this sense of compassionate way of life. And if you want to know how best to learn how to do that, we have to learn the message of the previous degree. Pisces 23 is to do with spiritist phenomena. The spiritist is a medium, a channel that can talk to spirits. And their major function, whether or not they could talk to spirits, their major function was to be compassionate towards people who'd just lost somebody. This became very popular just after the First World War, when there are many people shocked to have lost a young son or husband or whatever. Whether they're charlatans or not is secondary to the fact that they're compassionate people. So how do you develop that sense of living with compassion and being aware that there is another side, another level of existence? How do you do that? Well, Pisces 22 is the man bringing down the law, from Mount Sinai. This is Moses, the Ten Commandments. Metaphorically speaking, I don't think there are specific laws to live by, as the Ten Commandments suggest. But there is this sense of following a spiritual code. And this is the essential message of Pisces 22. You need to follow a spiritual code if you want to kind of open up capacity for compassion and communication with disembodied spirits. And how do you do that? Well, Pisces 21 will tell you how to do that. And that's the image of a little white lamb, a child and a Chinese servant, that represents the practice and demonstration of innocence. So to become spiritually aware, we try and find this childlike sense of innocence. And the fact that the woman's Chinese suggests an Eastern wisdom, which is non-rational. If the Western materialistic world is thinking, then the East is more spiritual, more feeling. And we learn the wisdom of Pisces 21, this innocence, by studying Pisces 20. And Pisces 20 is a table set for an evening meal. And the basic principle of this one is to have a thankful approach to life, an attitude of gratitude, to quote Bashar, I think. And living happy with what you've got, this is fundamental to our spiritual station in life. If we're always looking for more and better and complaining about the difficulties we've got, that does not generate a higher sense of spiritual consciousness. How do we do that? Well, we look at the previous journey in Pisces 19, a master instructing his pupil. So we take guidance and we accept that there's a transmission of knowledge. Knowledge is alive, and it evolves as it passes through time. It's transmitted, and this transmission takes place in the operation or the relationship between a teacher and a student, both of whom are actually aware of what is being transmitted and the sacredness of that. The role then of 19, Pisces 19, is the teacher. And if you want to know how to sort of learn this mystery of the teacher, how to be a teacher, then you have to sort of consider Pisces 18's wisdom. This is the gigantic tent, the image here of a ringmaster, or an evangelical, a priest, the revivalist. These people are capable of three basic functions of a teacher at this level that we're talking. And this is a bit of a mystery in a sense. Anyone who's actually trying to change somebody's approach, it's no good telling them these are the 10 commandments, you've got to obey them. That won't make any difference. Not nowadays, for sure. I don't think it ever did. The first thing you have to do is to win their attention. If you have a message for somebody, you have to win their attention first. And this is the job of the entertainer, really. Even if you're a priest, you have to be entertaining. And so any teacher, any priest, is entertainer, teacher and priest, all three. So the entertainer part is to win the attention. Not demand, not purchase. You have to win the attention of some people. And then you have to teach them. And that teaching is not persuasion, it's explanation. There's a difference between those two things that teachers really do need to understand. Persuasion is when really it's a form of bullying. Explanation is answering the genuine, immediate questions of the student. If a student has real interest right now in something and you explain things, then they'll pick it up. If you try and persuade them, they're going to defend against that persuasion, unless they're of the slave mentality. So, the third function, even if you're a teacher of crafts or whatever, there's always likely to bubble up a spiritual consciousness as you teach. That's the nature of the thing. Education first, teaching second, and then the priestly function of awakening somebody into the realization that life is sacred. So that's how you do that. And if you want to know how to learn that skill, you just go to Pisces 17 and Easter promenade. So at Easter, we all put on our finery and we go and celebrate our spirituality and our traditional ways of being in public rituals. This is a way in which we actually learn the spirituality that we choose to teach. How do we do that? How do we represent Pisces 17? We go to Pisces 16, the flow of inspiration. This is a sense of connecting here and now with the eternal mysteries. How do we do that? Well, I do it through meditation, but you can do it any way you do it. Singing, dancing, gardening, whatever. Meditation's one of them, but you've got to connect with that flow of inspiration. The purification process comes because we've developed our spirituality. And the mystery of Pisces 16, the flow of inspiration, is not just willy-nilly, accidentally. It comes from learning how to discipline yourself. It requires quite a lot of discipline to pursue your spiritual path. And Pisces 15 is an officer preparing to drill his men. So there is an image of discipline. And the preparation for group consciousness begins by having individual consciousness. In other words, having an awareness of what you're doing, having conscience about what you're doing. And part of the secret of developing discipline is to guard against intrusive forces. People will try and pull you off. If you try and walk a straight, narrow path, people will try and pull you off. So we do need to guard against that. And rather subtle and elegant way of guarding against people's intrusive inquiries and pushings and pullings is actually the application of glamour. Now, glamour is used in this context not just to talk about lipstick and so on, although the image of Pisces 14, the lady in the fox fur, talks about that kind of glamour. But glamour is a magician's tool, and we all have our glamours. We present an image to the world, and it's not entirely false at all. It's not inauthentic, but it's just not all of us. And it's a bit like smoke and mirrors. It presents a possibility for people to interpret their own way. So it's not as though we're telling a lie, but we're actually offering the possibility of being misinterpreted. So our spiritual commitment may not fit with our social group. So we just don't let them know. And when we kind of hide away a little bit, that's what that means. And we do that by developing a real clear intent, a sharpness of intention to get on with this spiritual work. This is indicated by Pisces 13, the sword in the museum. This clear intention of what we intend to do. To develop that clarity of mind, to sharp mind, requires some kind of examination. And this is offered by Pisces 12. We have to learn how to deal with our examinations and challenges effectively. And we do that by looking at Pisces 11, the dedication to self-improvement above all things, men seeking illumination, Pisces 11. We approach spirituality by having learned dedication. And if in Pisces 11 we were trying to express our dedication as primary above all other things, we might want to learn in Pisces 10 how to do that. This is the image of the aviator up in the clouds, and it represents attaining the highest level of responsibility that we can manage in life. Looking down on things and seeing the duality and having that higher level of consciousness that we're not lost in emotionality. We can choose between this and that. The aviator image enables that. And to rise to that level of high-sightedness, then we have to have a determination to succeed. We won't get to that level of oversight, ability to supervise our lives, without the determination to succeed, which Pisces 9 suggests is the jockey image, somebody who really sets their mind to win the race. And the way in which we develop that power of success comes through the image of Pisces 8, the girl blowing the bugle. The girl blowing the bugle is not modest. She's shouting out that she knows something that you might not know. There is no modesty involved in this. So we have to learn to put aside certain conditioning or training that we've had to hide our light under a bushel and actually shout it out, announce our intention, be okay with that. And the courage, the clarity to do that comes from the previous degree, Pisces 7, which is the image of a cross lying on the rocks. The cross represents a certain set of principles, Christian principles. It's lying down. We've actually said, okay, not for me. I'm going to stand according to my own principles. I won't take on anybody else's. I've actually worked it out to the point where I can take on my own. And you learn to do that by tolerating others until they become intolerable. That's the process. And I would say the Pisces 6 images of the officers on the dress parade represent that principle. The church bazaar in Pisces 5 is the ability to interact with others with a lightness of being. So this is how we can realize the confidence to speak our own mind, is by behaving well. If we actually know how to trade fairly and to communicate about the weather and to say the right words and do the right things, the church bazaar, where the bazaar is a marketplace where all sorts of buying and selling is going on, but it's outside the church, so there's that sense of spirituality involved. So if you can actually trade fairly and squarely, bring your sense of integrity to bear on worldly things, then you develop this ability to stand firm on your principles. So you learn to trade by trading. In the image of Pisces 4, you have the heavy traffic on a narrow isthmus, which suggests there's a busyness, too much going on really. And if you can cope with that, then you'll learn how to do it properly. You can't learn how to do it properly without having to learn to do it under pressure. And that's what's indicated by Pisces 4. You have to put yourself under some pressure in life to be able to learn how to deal with it all. And you do that by the mystery of Pisces 3, which is the petrified forest. Reading between the lines to infer what cannot be specifically communicated. The suggestion here is that to cope with the busyness of life, there are no rules that are all embracing. We're told some of the principles, but then we have to read between the lines. The petrified forest represents something that we can know was there at some point. We can infer that there was not only trees, but also wildlife and animals and all that kind of stuff. We infer by reading between the lines. And we learn how to do that in the same way as a squirrel hides from the hunters in Pisces too. Sense of balancing trust with caution. On the one hand, the squirrel is going to be attacked by the hunters. If she's not very cautious, she's going to die. But on the other hand, the squirrel needs nuts. So, you can't just be safe in life. You have to trust that by being alert enough, you'll find your way. And you learn how to balance this sense of trust and caution. In Pisces 1, this is the public market. This is not the church market. This is the public market. And the public market is based on the principle of buyer beware. In other words, you're going to get cheated. So you go to the public market expecting to be told lies, expecting people to be doing their pickpocketing and so on. Pisces 1 is just saying, look, that's actually how it is. It won't change. This earth plane is always going to be emblematic of people feeling so frightened that they need to take what is not theirs to take. That's the world as we know it. And this represents, these 5 degrees, the last 5 degrees represents the key word, shall we call it, the expression of harmonization. Learning how to harmonize with others kind of really means that we start with disharmony. And we have to find that which is not harmonious and find a way with it. So Pisces 1 is the disharmony, and we have to find a way with that. Only then will we move towards integration with our community and our ideas and different beliefs and so on, so that we can dedicate ourselves to our choice of path and then find a spiritual dimension of life and purify ourselves towards the ultimate goal of realization. And that's the overall mystery of Pisces.